All right, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'll be doing an outlook on Pound USD going into this trading week. And this is the weekly time frame. I'll start the analysis on the weekly time frame. I just wanted to point out the fact that the bullish nature on the weekly time frame is effectively still being respected, such that price is effectively creating higher levels of support and higher levels of resistances on the weekly time frame, meaning globally, pound USD and structurally is still bullish most recent. So the most recent price action on pound USD is bullish in that sense on a technical basis, where the most recent level of support, which happens to coincide with this previous level of resistance, is right here. The meaning of this, or how I view this, is the fact that as long as this level of support is still being respected, looking for buys longer term is still viable. Added to the fact that where price is trading into is some sort of quote unquote clean traffic to the left, which is this previous candle, where price can easily fill this candle in the next 1 or 2 weeks if the bullish price action is still being respected. So what I wanted to point out on the weekly time frame is the fact that structurally, and by structure I mean most recent level of support and resistances, pound USD is still looking to the upside. And as long as this previous level of support and resistance is respected, looking for buys longer term would be viable. So what I would do is I'm going to note this level of support as the level where looking for buys becomes a bit shaky if price begins to close below effectively 1.26976. If price basically closes below 1.27, for instance, on the weekly time frame or the daily, then looking for buys can be a bit, one wants to tread on the path of caution, looking for buys at that sense. But as it stands, pound USD is looking to the upside, in my opinion. We have some sort of clean candles to the left on the weekly time frame, and the structure is still bullish, in my opinion. At the same time, we are currently trading at this level of resistance, which is between this candle body and this candle wick. And basic price action or basic technical analysis dictates that you don't want to buy at resistance. For instance, if you're looking for buys, you don't want to buy exactly at resistance, or you could do that if you're at some advanced level of trading, but basically you don't want to press buy exactly at resistance, but looking for buys makes sense. So what would I do in this current scenario? So I would have to drop down to the lower time frame. For instance, on the daily time frame, we see that this candle has also closed above this level of resistance. Let me backtrack a bit back to the weekly time frame, and I will note this next level of resistance as a targetable area, meaning an area you can look for price to get to as long as the bullish price action is maintained. That means that as long as we do not close below 1.27 on the weekly time frame, one can still look for buys this week or in the next 2 weeks, for instance. All right, so on the daily time frame, I was saying that the daily candle or the Friday candle has also closed above this level of resistance on the daily time frame. As well, on the 4-hour time frame, we did also close above this level of resistance, and we are currently holding above. So in essence, I would be looking for this kind of buying scenario where if we push up on the lower time frame, we begin to hold resistance effectively. Begin to hold support above this level of resistance. One can also look for buys to retest the previous level of resistance that would be created on this time frame. Another way I would be looking for buys if we begin to range in this area and we get a breakout on minimum 30 minutes. One can also anticipate a continuation to the upside with the current direction we have and the current structure we have to the upside on the higher time frames. So the first one is if we kind of push up pre-session, maybe leading up to London session tomorrow, we're trading above this resistance, any sort of pullback that hold sufficient support on the lower time frame. By lower time frame, I mean 30 or 15 minutes, one can look for buying opportunity to retest those highs and possibly get some further continuation to that level of resistance we marked on the weekly time frame. And I think the price is at 1.30500, basically like globally. But it would be a surprise for that to happen in a day. But long term, one could anticipate that price could possibly fill this candle to the left, knowing fully whether the structure is bullish. All right, the structure is bullish. So the third opportunity I'll be considering for buys is you also realize that this is the most recent level of support on the 4-hour time frame, right? Which is also kind of higher than this level where we said that if candles begin to close below on the weekly, daily, on the weekly or daily time frame, I wouldn't be looking for buys, or I will be careful looking for buys. So price can still push down this deep at any point. We'll begin to break above the most recent level of resistance on the lower time frame. All right, by lower time frame, I mean 30 or 15. I would be anticipating some sort of continuation to retest these highs, such that if leading up to, say, London session tomorrow, price is creating lower levels of support and resistances on the lower time frame, I'll be waiting for a break of structure entry where for instance, 30 minutes candle closing above a resistance, taking my my buy trade with stop loss below this level, managing the position if a candle, for instance, closes back below the resistance, ultimately looking to retest this and see if we get continuation. So for this week, I would be looking for buying opportunity. Doesn't mean that sales could not play out, doesn't mean that one could not take counter trend sales, because as long as price is still above here, in my opinion, any selling opportunity would be a counter trend trade. It could work, but I would personally be looking for buying opportunities. So to recap, this level or this price around 1.27 is critical for me. As long as price stays above this level of support on the weekly time frame, I'll be looking for buys. All right, there are 3 ways I would be looking for that buying opportunity. The first is if we push up and close sufficiently above this resistance zone, any pullback this way, I'll be looking for buying opportunity. The second one is if we get stuck in a range, which is also possible, I'll be patiently waiting for a candle to close outside the range to take buying options. And the third one is if price also pushes to the downside. At that stage, I'll be waiting for a break of structure, then taking my buying opportunity this week. If anything changes, I would probably update this outlook, but as it stands, it's really, really simple. On the weekly time frame, the structure is to the upside, meaning price is effectively creating higher supports and higher resistances. We are pushing into a clean candle area. Doesn't mean we would fill this, but it offers an opportunity to look for buys. All right, it offers opportunity to look for buys. On the daily time frame, the candles are closing strongly bullish. I wouldn't be taking buys right now. I wouldn't be taking buys at the market open, for instance. I would wait to see either of those 3 options leading up to London session tomorrow, or Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Thursday, or Friday, as the case may be. So that's just looking at it purely technically, not considering any fundamental factors, and just playing the cards that the candles presents, if that makes sense. So, or just following what the information would be having directly from the candles. Of course, on Wednesday, there is CPI. You don't want to trade at CPI. But if the structure is still maintained, if the integrity of the bullish nature is still maintained, then regardless of the news, one could still look for buying opportunity. So I hope this helps. I just decided to quickly do this before the market opens, and feel free to pass your comments if you have questions. And yeah, that's it. Have a good one and see you when the market opens. Cheers.